And we're on time. We're doing this. We're getting better. Today's topic: why don't traditional artists train as hard as sport martial artists? Um, I'm going to hand over this idea to you. We just started the live, so no one at this point, anybody watching this is watching this already recorded. So for those of you who just are watching this and it's not live for you, and you're watching this and it's already past the time, and you're I wanted to ask Hackelman questions about this. Every Wednesday, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe and share with your friends. This is your opportunity to ask a UFC coach any questions that are on your mind. Yeah, we have topics, but we go off topic sometimes for questions, right? We like
A
our
little
friends.
bit, yeah. This one's a good topic. This one is it's a mind boggler if you really think about it. When you think that a traditional martial artist, um, you got that word martial artist. Maybe it doesn't mean a lot to some people, but it should. If you're a freaking martial artist, it should mean a lot to you. So why would an amateur MMA fighter that's fighting for a $5 medal at best, why would that person put in more? Forget the time. I understand the time. I'm not talking about why do they train more days or more volume. I know why the volume. It's a sport. There's a whole bunch of reasons. If we had a longer video, I would tell you guys. But so they train longer. We know that. That's not a big deal. Why do they train harder though? Why do they train harder? Because they do train harder. I've been to many, 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 many sport fighting gyms, many since 1974, and I've been to many, 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 many traditional martial arts gyms as well. Martial arts schools. Why does somebody fighting for a $5 medal, right? Why does he train harder and with more seriousness than the person at a traditional martial arts school that's training to protect their family's life if they're attacked? The stakes are so much higher when you're a traditional martial artist. You're training to protect yourself and your family from a brutal attack. You're training to keep your health so you don't die of fucking emphysema at 35 years old. You're training to stay alive, healthy, and safe for yourself and your family. But you're not training as hard as a guy that wants to win a $5 medal. That seriously? That how does that even happen when I see my guys in my traditional class and it's time for one of the cardio workouts, which my fighters and my fighters, my fight team and my traditional guys, they do the same workouts. There's no reason a fighter should be in better shape than a traditional martial artist, but they are, and they train harder. So why does a traditional martial artist, why don't they put in the same work? I don't mean time. Let's just say two days a week, an hour each day, maybe 3 days a week, an hour each workout. Why don't they hit the bag with as much power? Why don't they do the drills with as much energy? Why don't they do the conditioning as hard and as seriously as an amateur MMA fighter? What I mean, is their trophy or their medal worth more than your family's life? I mean, I don't. It boggles my mind, but it's true, and I just can't figure out why. What do you think?
Uh, there's a few things that come to mind. You keep saying a $5 medal, and I'm thinking of some of the smokers I fought where we didn't even get that.
Yeah. Well,
They
I'm
gave
trying
us
to.
a pat on the back, and I think that one of the smokers I went to, the fight of the night. got the guy who got fight of the night. They gave him a bouquet of flowers in Japan. You know how they are in Japan. They like to be weird. They gave him a bouquet of flowers.
But and
So
what I'm doing on purpose is I'm minimizing it, right?
yeah,
Because the guy in the UFC fighting for $6 million, or the guy that's fighting for a world title, or the guy that's fighting for a $5 medal, or somebody that's fighting for free. If you're a sport fighter, you want to win. You an amateur, you want to win just as much as the UFC does. You'll fight just as hard. So my point there is, just because I don't want to go down the list of all the different, Chuck fought just as hard and with just as much, heart as he did when he was a world champion or winning a world title than he did when he was a low level amateur fighter. They still fought that hard. So my overall question is, why does a sport fighter, amateur or pro, train and take their sport more seriously than a traditional martial artist takes his art? And I don't understand why, because they don't. Average overall, they don't, and it's a shame to see these guys that are there to protect their family, but they don't even train that hard. It boggles my mind.
and
What do you
then
think?
what would you define? I guess we're gonna. I don't know how long of a rabbit hole we'll go here with this one, but what would you define as a traditional martial artist? We'll just start with that. For anybody who like, are you talking like people who train like one type of style, like karate
No,
or
yeah, whatever the style is, it doesn't matter the style. It's just it's why does that person not train as hard and put as much blood, sweat, and tears into his hour-long training? Why doesn't he do as many burpees in 7 minutes as the guy that's training for a fight? Why doesn't he? Why isn't he in as good shape? You can go to a traditional martial arts school and see guys with bellies and out of shape, and they're soft, and you can tell they're not in good shape, even high belts. But you're never going to go into an MMA training facility where they're training for fights. They're not all out of shape. Why is that? Why do they take it so much more seriously? They take their diet more seriously. They're staying away from alcohol more seriously. Why do they take that so much more seriously than the sport fighter? And that's the main question, you know. And a traditional martial arts school is a school where you're learning martial arts, whatever that martial art is. But the reason you're training, unless you're training just to do nice little katas or something like that, if you're really training in a martial arts gym, you want to be able to protect yourself and your family. Guess what? If you're going to be soft and weak and undisciplined, you're not going to be able to protect anyone, right?
and this has to do with those training modalities, right? Like I don't. You said burpees, right? You were talking about
Or
just something as
whatever,
simple as
or push-ups, or
um,
push-ups, or
yeah.
squats, or run, or treadmill, or anything that gets your heart rate up, and it's a hard workout. What I'm sure that most martial art, I hope most traditional martial arts schools, part of their workout is dedicated, you know, exclusively to some kind of physical conditioning, or else how are they going to get into physical condition? You know, it's part of the thing. You could train with them, then they could go somewhere else and learn their punching, or should they go somewhere else and learn their takedown defense? If you're a martial arts school, of course you got to teach them those techniques, right? So why don't you hold them to a higher standard when it comes to physical conditioning? That's my question. Are there any answers? Anybody?
I don't know. Do we have 6 people watching? What do you think? So right now there are 5 people. One person left.
Yeah.
So we have 5 people watching right now, live. What do you think? Why do you think that some traditional, not to generalize here, some traditional martial arts schools don't have as well, I can say all
You can't say all because
traditional
the
modalities.
majority of them do, and I
Yeah,
would
there we go.
and why I'll say 99% of sport fighting gyms train their guys harder than we do our traditional guys. Why is that? That's a crime right there.
Or maybe
That,
we'll open it up even more. Hey, so any of you watching right now, if you come from a traditional martial arts school, are you doing any conditioning? How maybe you're not the majority. What kind of conditioning are you doing? If you're listening right now, you're live, one of you, and you're coming from a traditional martial art of some sort. What kind of conditioning are you doing? Or why do you think you're not doing that kind of conditioning? We'll throw that out there. So if you have any questions about that, come on in. Or if you're wondering what kind of conditioning drills you should be doing, feel free to. Oh, there we go. I think some schools gyms don't push hard because it chases clients away, says
yeah.
William John.
Hmm.
We'll start with that. So we have so far. What do you think on that one, John? I think some schools don't push their people as hard because it might push clients away, or it pushes clients away.
If those are the kind of clients they have that would leave and they still want them, then that's a McDojo. That's just a phony McDojo. If you don't want and you don't, if you don't demand that your students push themselves and do physical conditioning, if you don't do that, you're a partial artist, not a martial artist. You're a McDojo. So if you're scared about losing students because you're doing them a service by making them stronger and fitter and more of a well equipped fighting machine, and if they don't want that, and if you don't push that, then you don't have a good school, and you don't have good students. I don't know. That's the reason. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not trying to attack you. Yeah, we're not trying to attack you. We're speaking in general. Thank you, William, for that comment. Paul Castillo. There's a weird thing. Maybe it's Castillo. Maybe it's a simple matter of motivation.
Yeah. So and that's scary because that tells me that whether you're married or not, you are more the person you are more motivated to win an amateur MMA title than you are to stay alive or to keep your family alive. That's scary. That's a scary individual right there that isn't motivated to keep his family safe and to stay strong so he can protect them. That's a non-protector right there. So I mean, if we're having those kind of people, coming into our, martial arts world, then this world is going beta.
Well, so so I know when I was coming up training, my instructor had a program at a community center. And for the community center, it's a community center. We have to follow the guidelines the community center set for us. But with that being said, we ended up getting pushed because even though we only had an hour at this place to train, we had sparring. We had our sparring days. So for some reason, and he'd always tell the students, "Hey, we're gonna train a little bit here. We were here twice a week. I'm at other places. You can go to other places to train with me, but I'm at this program twice a week. If you're not training on your own, if you're not joining another program, if you're not doing your work, if you're not putting in your work, it's gonna come out. Because this is 2 hours a week is not enough. He would flat out tell them. And during sparring, you see a guy getting winded, or if we're doing drills, doing a simple drill, you see a guy getting winded or gassing out. It was really quick to see, hey, you gotta do
You're not
something.
doing the homework, bro. You're not doing your
Yeah,
homework.
you got your homework.
Yeah. So if I
You gotta
yeah,
do
that's
your
a yeah. So that's and the scary thing is that's the majority of the martial artists out there. It's like what are they gonna do? They're supposed to be our protectors. We are supposed to be the protectors, right? And if we're not and we're training at a gym, why are we wasting the time and money to even do it at all if you're not gonna do it right, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's on you. It's like so not you personally, but like what you just said. Why don't traditional martial artists train as hard as sports martial artists? If you're listening to this as a traditional martial artist, you're getting offended. Really, this is on you. Like the same as my instructor. Like you have certain amount of time to train. Let's say this goes back to the conversation we had last week about your priorities, right?
Right.
Your
And
priorities. We talked about
everybody in the world has time to be in top shape.
yeah,
Nobody in this world, I'm telling you right, in this country, does not have time to be in top physical shape. They might not have the priority to do it. They might not have the motivation to do it. They might not have the heart to do it. But nobody doesn't have the time. So if you're not in top shape, it's because you are lazy. You are undisciplined. There's no other reason. And
It's on
because
you.
all you need is a 10 by 10 room and a floor, and you can stay in top shape for your entire life. It'll get super boring. It's boring as shit. But you ask these guys in prison in solitary confinement for 6 years in a 10 by 10 cell, they stay in top shape because they do that. And you can't say, well, they got all the time in the world. It takes less than a fucking hour. Nobody doesn't have less than a fucking hour.
Yeah.
I think.
So like I said, or even and then if you're not confined to assuming that you're not confined to a cell.
And even if you are,
So yeah, assuming that you're not confined to a cell. You got a pair of running shoes, right? You have a bicycle. Most people have a bicycle. If you're one of those people one of those weird people that for some reason never learned how to ride a bicycle, okay, then you still have a pair of running shoes. There's really nothing to stop you from taking 30 minutes to an hour. I'll even say I'll jump that down to 30 minutes. You can run for 30 minutes 5 days a week. And something simple. Let's say, oh no, I don't know how to do a burpee. Oh, I don't have the upper body strength. Have you heard people say this? I don't have the upper body strength.
nobody will tell me that. Nobody, because they know what they'll get. But and I'll go one step more. You don't even if you had 15 minutes a day. Okay, now you can't become proficient at all your martial arts moves. That'll take some more time. So let's say you have an hour twice a week. Okay, but if you had 15 minutes on those other days, you could stay in fighting shape, top fighting shape. You could do crazy shit in 15 minutes. You could definitely you could run a mile, right? You could run. A lot of guys could run 2 miles. You could do try to do 15 minutes of burpee. Try to do like do some crazy. Do 150 burpees in 15 minutes. You don't think that's a workout? I mean, with a little bit of creativity and discipline, with 15 minutes a day, say 4 or 5 days a week, you could be in top shape. You wouldn't need any more than that. And the only reason, if you're not in top shape, the only reason you're not in top shape is because you are not disciplined. That's the only reason.
I told this to my friends too. Cardio is cumulative, right? So I had a friend who runs his own business and he's busy. He's busy. He's always in between offices and clients and stuff. And I told him, if you pick up a pair of, are you working out of he works out of his house. He's got a home office. I'm like, well, if you have a pair of kettlebells, you get a set of kettlebells or even dumbbells and you put in whatever you can whenever you have a break, 10 minutes throughout the day. And then he hits me up a month later and now he's doing he's also, I couldn't do it all in one set, but I started doing 10 minutes on one 10-minute break, 10 minutes on another 10-minute break. I added it up and I'm getting a 6-pack. And I'm like, well, he's like, I've never had a 6-pack. I'm like, well, man, how many breaks are you? He's like, well, I get about throughout the day, I have a few 10-minute breaks, 5 or 6. So he's pretty much working out an hour a day now. And even in a time where he said, I don't have 30 minutes to do it, he started splitting it up in his day. So it's cumulative. Even if you don't have the 30-minute stretch, you can put together quite a bit if you're motivated and disciplined. I think that's the motivation and discipline, right there.
Well, it's discipline. Motivation is where it goes on, off and on, up and down, in and out. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. You can't rely on motivation because you meet a cute chick if you're single, then you're motivated to do something. And all of a sudden you're married. Now you're not motivated to do something. So motivation varies and it comes and goes. Discipline, if you're disciplined, it doesn't matter who you're with, you're gonna fucking train. So that's the difference.
Yeah,
But
definitely the discipline.
Yeah, it's great. Any questions?
Questions? There we go. Did you just left hook your phone?
Yeah.
Any
If I could,
questions? We have 11 people here. Any questions about why don't traditional martial artists train as hard as sport martial artists? Any questions about discipline? How to cultivate discipline? How to
yeah,
cultivate?
that's a tough one. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and say the more you just do something and you get used to accepting or embracing the uncomfortableness, that is momentum. That helps with discipline. But discipline itself, just to get you started, get that inertia, get it started, firing up your inertia. So from a body at rest turns into a body in motion. I mean, usually a body at rest wants to stay as a body at rest, and a body of motion, is more like that's more like the discipline, guy that just go go go. But to go from you know a body at rest to a body of motion, sometimes you need some motivation to stir up the discipline. The problem with that is if you don't have discipline and if you don't have it in you at all, then that motivation, when it starts going down, so will everything else because you don't have the discipline that pushes it. Like I wanted to fight because I was, getting bullied, right? That was my motivation. So I started training really hard. Then I became a Golden Glove boxer, and that discipline that I used went to that. Then I wanted to do this and this. So that discipline stays with you, and when you get that discipline, like when I went in the army, it helped. When I went to college, it helped. I mean, you said that discipline helps you with a lot of things, and training is one of them.
So Brian, I don't know if this is a statement or a question, but he says horse stance to condition legs.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, but I mean, here it is. Horse stance is a great way of building a solid foundation. And one good thing about horse stance is you can practice a lot of different strikes while you're in a horse stance. But at the end of the day, you get more out of squats because it's shorter. You're going to get more bang for the buck time wise, right? And it's more of a cardio workout too. Like if you do, say you do Tabata squats, 8 rounds, and that means 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, 8 times. That's a fucking killer workout, and it's cardio plus building up your legs. So the horse stance is a good, like if you're in a martial arts school or you have extra time, it's a great one to do. But it's not as good as squats. Nothing beats squats for your legs.
And then
What else we got?
Brian also asks, how did you end up living in Hawaii?
Um, we were born in New York, and then when I was like 4 or 5, my dad got a job in Hawaii as a newspaper writer. So we went from New York to Hawaii, and he got a job there, and he worked that same job for 30 some years. So we stayed in Hawaii. They got divorced like 2 years after we moved there, my mom and my dad. But so we stayed there, and that's how I got there. And then I came to LA after the army because I was doing a little bit of boxing, so I thought it'd be better to go to LA. So I ended up staying, going to college, getting married, getting remarried, and so I'm still here in California.
Another question coming from Jesse. Do you Okay, I'm gonna try to get through the some of the typos here. Do you any of you ever go to any? Do you ever go to any Kaiju Kembo tournaments? Late July, Las Vegas is the next tournament.
Yeah, where is it? The Tropicana? That's where it used to be. I used to go
I
actually, yeah, but
think it's like
I haven't gone for a while. Yeah, I haven't gone for a while. But I love it, and I don't know if my wife would go for it though.
yeah. So I mean, if you can convince her, I guess
I,
yeah.
I
There is. I
get I
do know there
get
is a.
I got in the Kaji Kempo. What do you call? Not family tree, but like I got a big award going as a Kaji Kempo guy. That the it's right there, the Hall of Fame. Like that kind of stuff. It's over here.
Oh, there
So
it
I
is.
got I got that and it was one of those Kaji Kempo tournaments in Vegas, and that
Okay,
was
cool.
and that was given to me by Sijo Imperato.
And then I forgot what the. I mean, if you are a Kaji Kembo person listening to this, yeah, that tournament is coming up in late July. I think it is a tournament. If you just Google Kaji Kembo tournament, it'll come up. They have
If
a
I can
jiu-jitsu
talk my
division now.
wife, I'm gonna go. If I can talk her into going.
Yeah, they have a jiu-jitsu. They have no gi and gi jiu-jitsu, continuous, like American style kickboxing, where they don't do the leg kicks, but they do the body shots and the head
Why don't they?
hits.
Yeah,
And they
they
also
should do
have
leg kicks and takedowns too.
they did they did regular. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but last year they did regular kickboxing, and they had the Nevada State Commission come in, so they had
Why
leg
don't they
kicks
just
too.
do
But
MMA?
I can't speak for this year. I don't. I only know so much. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If you we can get your wife to let you go.
No, I wouldn't
And
let
then
her.
Brian says, "Oh wow, I was only there for 4 years. I think it's Hawaii." And
Yeah.
Jesse says, "Hua." Is that
I
did
was.
I pronounce that right? Hua.
I was in the. I'm from Hawaii, but then I was in the army, and when I was in the army, I got stationed there. Um, but then um, yeah. So I lived in Hawaii total, um, close to 20 years. So I pretty much grew up there, and then I moved away when I was a young adult.
And then Jesse clears up that yeah, they did leg kicks above the knees last year, so they had leg kicks last year for the
Yeah.
College Kimbo tournament. All right, man. Well, I think we're getting close to our wrap up here. We want to thank everyone. If you have any last minute questions, now is the time to bombard us. We like to do that right before we say, "Okay, we're gonna go." I was like, "I got a question. Hold up a second. I got a question." But so far it looks like there's no questions coming in. Every
I need an
Wednesday,
answer there. Why? I mean, I put that question out all over the place, and nobody really has a good answer because there is no fucking good answer. There's just it's just lazy and soft and entitled, and they want to say they're training but not really push. Why, if anyone's training in traditional martial arts and you've been training for a year, or say I'll say 9 months or more, and you're not in top shape, you know, I would say you're at a shitty school, but I have guys that are struggling sometimes, and the way I yell at them in class is crazy. But it's just you're an undisciplined person that, and I think as martial artists, we got to stop that.
well, no one answered the question because they don't want to argue with you, John.
Is
They know they'll lose. So
that's it?
wait, as usual, last minute question: do you wear hand wraps with those old school bag gloves?
No, never, no,
Um, Never.
no,
Okay. Brian
no.
says because cardio was used as a tool in MMA. So he's answering the question.
Right.
So cardio was
You,
used as a tool in
but
MMA. That's
if
what.
you don't think cardio is even more of a tool in a street fight, then you've never been in a street fight. Cardio, cardio in MMA or kickboxing, you need a lot of cardio. You need a lot of cardio if you're sparring. You need even more if you're in a MMA match or a kickboxing match. But there's a referee, right? And they're going to stop the fight. They're going to protect you. Nobody protects you in a street fight, so your adrenaline is much higher, and so is your cardio. You need so much more cardio in a street fight, probably 10 times more. You get 10 times more tired with the same output that you will in a street fight than you will in an MMA match. I'm telling you that right now from experience. So if they use cardio as a tool in MMA, it's even a bigger tool in a street protection scenario.
So I think that's your argument, right? That it's necessary to have cardio, whether or not you're a sports martial artist. You consider yourself a traditional martial artist. You're saying there shouldn't be a distinction between these two things. It should be one and the same. You should.
The
In
same,
fact,
or
your
even
argument is
more. Even the
more. Yeah,
street
your
guys
argument
should
is even
just
more.
push it hard. Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
you should be
don't.
pushing
I don't
even harder.
understand why. Why don't they?
Yeah, because if that's your philosophy, I want to protect my family. You should have more.
People.
People don't know their gender today. Just be happy they are training. Okay. Okay,
That's
sounds good.
that's high there. That's the low
I'm not gonna
expectations
go there.
argument.
The whole gender thing. I'm not gonna go there. But I will say that we're getting ready to wrap up. I
That's
really
like
appreciate you coming out.
that's the the reality of low expectations right there. Just be happy they're even training.
That's what we're
I,
gonna wrap up every Wednesday, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Thank you to everyone who asked their questions. William, Brian, and Paul. Thank you for coming out every Wednesday, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Ask your questions to John Hackleman, a a legend in the field. A legend.
thank you. All right, guys, thanks for coming.
Catch y'all next time.
Bye.